Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer, and this is Love to Hate, where we help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers. And in this video, I'm going to be taking a look at a preview for a game coming to crowdfunding here in the very near future. It is a solo-only video, hence the reason why you only have me here today, and that is The Last Lighthouse from Button Shy Games. As I mentioned, The Last Lighthouse is a solo-only game, and as is the case with the games that Button Shy Games does, it is going to be a micro game with a small deck of cards. Now, in this particular one, you are going to be playing against the impending doom that's on the horizon, the darkness, the nightmares that creep in the night, that is looking to overtake the Last Lighthouse, which is you. You are the person in the Last Lighthouse trying to keep the darkness at bay, trying to keep your light shining bright through the night. So this is a survival game in which you have to survive so many rounds and repel the darkness and work your way through the deck. Let me show you how it works down below, and then I'll come back and share my thoughts on this game. All right, I have The Last Lighthouse on the table. Let me show you how this survival solo game works. Now, I do want to make sure you understand everything you see here is prototype, so the final artwork, components, maybe even some of the rules might change once it's released from crowdfunding. And do make sure to check out that crowdfunding page, clicking the link down below in the description of the video. Now, what you have here, obviously, it is a deck of cards. This is a card game. It is a small deck of cards. You are going to have these multi-use cards that are going to have a nightmare side and a trap side on the bottom that you have to flip the card around 180 degrees to be able to see what that says. So you've got the deck of cards here. You're going to have 4 lined up for you. This is your lighthouse. This represents where you are, your tower defense, so to speak. And this is the impending darkness that is trying to take over the lighthouse. And if it ever does, then you lose the game. So you need to have at least one little bar of light left before the end of the game. You do also have a hand of 5 trap cards that you can use to battle against the darkness. Now, how a round is going to work after you've got this all set up here, you are going to be able to take 2 actions, and you can do the same thing twice or, do different things. So one of the things that you could do is play a trap card. Now, these trap cards are going to have conditions on them, as well as a number on the left, a number on the right, and then a number of icons here in the middle. So here's one example. It says, when defeated, draw a card from the deck and add it to your hand. Here's another one. When defeated, you may immediately replace this trap with a trap from your hand. It must go in the same space. And then here's a when placed ability. It says, when placed, you may discard a card from your hand to defeat a nightmare of your choice. So to do this action, I would simply take a card from my hand and place it anywhere in this line. I can place it at the very front of the line. I can place it at the very end of the line, or I could place it in between nightmares like so. And that would be an action. Now, the numbers here on the cards, that's going to be the range in which I can do an attack, because the second type of thing that I could do on my turn is to take out one of these nightmares. Now, I've got a range of 2 going this way, but I have no range going this way, so I can't attack anything that's going to be to the right of this card. Now, the number of skulls here on the nightmare cards, that's going to be the level of health or the number of damage that you have to do to this all in one turn in order to defeat it. So this one card would not be enough to take it out. I would have to be able to attack this card with 2 other traps to be able to take it out. But that's kind of the idea, is that I want to place my traps somewhere in this line to where they have a range to be able to hit it, and I want to kind of triangulate all of my traps on one particular nightmare to be able to take it out with that second action of defeating a nightmare. When you do defeat defeat a nightmare, you get to turn that card around to become a trap, and it goes into your hand, and now you have an extra card to work with its own ability on it. Now, you do have to make sure to pay attention to the abilities that are on the nightmare cards, such as this card right here that has a when defeated, you may discard a card from your hand to repair 1 damage to the lighthouse. That's super important because you're going to have to manage this and find ways to decrease the damage to the lighthouse, and this would be really nice to do. So those are things you have to be aware of and pay attention to. Now, after you've taken your actions, you're going to then add a nightmare to the end of the line. And so you'll flip over this card, and maybe it has a when placed ability, such as this one. We're going to swap these out here. When placed, you must place a card from your hand to the bottom of the deck and draw a card to replace it. And so that's a when placed. And this is going to go at the end of the line here. I know you can't really see that real well, but just know that you'll be placing these to the end of the line. And then you will check to see how many nightmares you have in the line. If you have 3 or more nightmares, they're going to do an automatic damage to the lighthouse. It doesn't matter how many more than 3 that there are in the line. You could have 7, for instance. It's still just 1 damage. If you have less than 3, then there is no damage. But if you only have 1 nightmare, then you're going to add 2 nightmares to this line. So you do want to kind of play that out and manage it effectively. But that is how you win this game. You've got to get through all the nightmares that are in this deck. So you do want these nightmares to come out. You just want them to come out in your timing and under your control rather than the game throwing it at you and you just not being able to manage it effectively. Now, what happens after you put this card in the line here is that the nightmares are going to attack back against your traps. You're going to look at whatever trap you have in this line that is furthest to the right, and that is going to be the trap that the nightmares are focusing in on. And they attack in the same way, looking at these numbers with ranges, of course, and they will triangulate and try to defeat your traps, doing enough damage equal to the icons here that are on this shield. And they'll remove one of your traps, and if they aren't able to remove any of your traps, then they'll do 1 more damage to your lighthouse, and that is bad. So you gotta make sure that you have traps out here, not only to be able to take out these nightmares, but so that they're taking the damage rather than your lighthouse. So there's a little bit of strategy there as to not only putting traps out in the line so that you can defeat nightmares, but just so that they defeat the traps rather than defeating your lighthouse. But that's the idea here. If at all you ever don't have any cards in your hand, you are automatically going to take a damage, and that will likely be the end of the game for you because you're going to be taking a lot of damage on that turn. So you always want to make sure that you have cards in hand. Otherwise, it's going to be a long game for you, or it may be a short game for you. But that is the idea here with The Last Lighthouse. Let's go back up top and where I will share my thoughts on this game. All right, so there you have it. That's how The Last Lighthouse works. So let's get into my thoughts on this one. Obviously, this is a prototype. I don't even have a box, or as Button Shy does, I don't even have the little envelope for the cards here. So this is all I've got to show you. And it is prototype, and so I do know that the game is changing. They've already changed some of the things multiple times since they sent me this preview. They actually sent me 2 copies to check out, and this is the second one, and they've already changed it a little bit even after sending this one. So you do want to make sure to check out the crowdfunding page down below that I've linked to get all the full details as to what maybe has changed since the recording of this video. But what I do want to tell you about this one is that this is a very solid experience with how to make a great game with multi-use cards with a micro game. You know, Button Shy, they do fantastic games with these 18-card deck games. And this is another example from Scott Alms, who is a master at creating and designing those kind of games in using multi-use cards, because there's a lot in trying to figure out what cards should I, repel and get rid of and turn into the good cards for me to use, and what ones maybe I should keep back for a little bit and not constantly just take them, because the more you take, the more bad cards are coming, and the more of those immediate negative effects are going to happen to do damage to you. And so there is a little bit of being clever and figuring out where do I need to fight back against the game and where do I need to kind of retreat a little bit and let the game kind of do what it's doing. You don't want to just constantly be aggressive in this game. You'll run out of ammo and you won't have enough to defend yourself with later on. So you do have to be very clever in order to do well with this game. What I really like about it is that it is a game that you can learn from, and it's not just random dumb luck when you do well in this game. It does require you to have to learn things as you've played it a couple of times and learn, okay, this is what didn't work for me. This is what worked for me. I want to try doing those things more, and I want to change some of these things to see what that does going forward. I love that about this game, and you don't always get that in solo-only games. It sort of does feel like solo gaming can sort of be just like the way the game is structured. You either do well or you don't, and there's not, you know, any kind of growing and learning from it. It is just what it is. Like, some games are just designed to be extremely difficult, and hopefully you figure out a way. And then other games are just too easy, and they're easy to solve and figure out. This game definitely is somewhere in the middle of that, and I like that. It does give me this feeling of I can beat this game, I can figure this out, but it's not super easy to do. And you will have I don't know what kind of success rate you'll have in this game, but I will tell you that my success rate was right around 50%. And so that's a solo game that I enjoy. You know, I don't want to win every time. I don't want to lose every time either, though. And so for me, this hit that spot exactly where I wanted it to be. It has a lot of things about it that are pros for me. Super easy setup. The rules are not hard to figure out at all. Nice choices. A great length of play here. It being a micro game, you'd expect it to be super quick and super fast. It's about 20 minutes or so for me, which is good timing for this type of game for me. And obviously super portable. You can take it just about anywhere. It does not take up a lot of space on the table. So there's a lot of things to really like about this one. I highly recommend it. It's one that I would want to play even if it hadn't been given to me to review. So I'm really thankful that I did get to review it, or preview, excuse me. But that being said, I think it's one that a lot of people are going to like out there, especially if you already like those kind of games that Button Shy does or Scott Almes does. So you definitely should keep this one on your radar to check out. The game is The Last Lighthouse. It is coming to crowdfunding, so again, make sure to check out that link down below in the description of this video now that you've watched it. If you like this video, please, please, please hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to be notified of all of our great new content. I'm Lance, and this is Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.